What's up, my wizards? It's Dev from Mtg. We like magic, and I got some Wednesday Ixalan spoilers for you. And it's a pretty exciting day. Today was the day of the reprint. We saw like 5 reprints, and some of them are actually super impactful. And we saw like 4 brand new cards, and one of those is a slam dunk, shoe-in, definite for competitive play, I think. And so do a lot of people. So, a lot to cover today. Let me start with the reprints. Let's look at Slice and Twain first, because it's a resounding man. I want to go ahead and get it out of the way. 4 mana, instant speed, disenchant something, and draw a card. But we just have better options in Standard right now, so I'm not sure how much play it's going to see, if any. I'm not going to spend too long on it, but you should at least be aware of its existence. Here's something I'm kind of excited about. Here's Favorable Winds from Avacyn Restored. It doesn't seem like it's been that long since this card was in Standard, but I guess Avacyn Restored was kind of forever ago at this point. It's just 2 mana for an enchantment. Creatures you control with flying get +1/+1. Okay, so there's a couple of reasons, I think, to be excited about this reprint, and the reason everyone's discussing today is pirates. I'll start on that. There's a lot of 1 and 2 mana pirates that have flying, like a lot. So this might actually end up being relevant in that deck, but at the same time, they're printing like a lot of pirate stuff, so we're going to have to sit down at the end of all of this and figure out what gets cut from that list and what actually ends up staying in, what's strong and what isn't. So I'm not sure that this card actually ends up making that cut. If pirates ends up being a really low to the ground aggro tempo deck, which it is shaping up to look like, then a card like this could be really relevant if the top of our curve creature-wise is 3 or possibly a couple of 4 drops. But if the deck wants to go more mid-range and higher than that and play all the Hostage Takers and Admiral Beckett Brasses and even maybe the 5-drop pirate, I'm not sure if the deck's going to end up looking like that. But if it does, this card looks a lot less attractive. But could end up making the list depending on what the makeup of the list actually is. Now, on the other note though, blue-white flyers, right? Actually, I'll come back around to this a little later in the video, but I think we're seeing a blue-white flyers list shape up that's going to be really cheap, and it might do some work at F&M for you, and this would be a cornerstone piece in that deck. So I'm excited about this reprint. Guess what else is back, though? Duress is back, you guys. Duress is just a black mana for a sorcery. Target opponent reveals his or her hand. You choose a non-creature, non-land card from it, and they discard it. So Duress is back. That's awesome. We just saw it on a body a couple of days ago. It's kind of Kite Sail Freebooter, that thing. That creature looks really good, but nonetheless, I'm happy to have Duress back. And it feels like it's been a while since this card's been in Standard, but it actually was in like Dragons of Tarkir, so it hasn't been that long since it was in Standard, but it feels like forever. Just happy to have it back, but it has to find a home, And Duress almost never has a problem actually finding a home, Shouldn't be too hard. We've been trying to build Mono Black Discard in Standard for a while and make it actually decent. There is a faction of people trying to make that work. And we put up a list for Mono Black Discard like a month ago, and I really like that list, but it only gets way better with Duress. You can also go in blue-black control lists if those are a thing. I'm not really sure that they will be, honestly. Not looking great, but if they are a thing, Duress definitely goes in either the main deck or the board, which I think is the main question in this Standard, the upcoming Standard. Is this more of a main deck card or a sideboard card? I'm not actually sure. I'd probably put my 3 in the sideboard. Duress is also typically good in mid-range sideboards because, again, you don't want your important threats to die, and it's a versatile option for mid-range decks out of the sideboard, If you want to get enchantments or artifacts out of their hand their whole deck is built around, or even planeswalkers and stuff, Duress can do all of that. So just a super versatile card that also allows you a lot of information about your opponent's plan in the really early game. Just everything about Duress is awesome. Super glad that it's back. But there were 2 blue reprints, both at 1 mana and both instant speed today, that I think are easily the best reprints of the day. So let's talk about those real quick. First of all, Spell Pierce. Just 1 blue mana for an instant. Counter target non-creature spell unless its controller pays 2. Spell Pierce is back in Standard. This card is fantastic. In case you don't know, this is, I think, meant to replace Dispel at least a little bit, but this does so much more than Dispel. A lot like Duress, we just discussed this. This can deal with removal that your opponent's targeting your creatures with for just 1 mana, and oftentimes they're going to be targeting your early game guys in the early game. Just makes logical sense. So something like this can often catch them off guard. It can also counter planeswalkers, enchantments, artifacts. There's just so much that Spell Pierce can do for you. It can counter spells. It's just love that Spell Pierce is back, and it's also going to be a good, possibly sideboard option for the Pirates deck. That deck already has a fair amount of guys that keep them from removing your dudes. Add Spell Pierce into the board, and suddenly they're never going to touch your creatures. Like, just love that Spell Pierce is back. This is actually really impactful. But speaking of really impactful, here's Opt right here. This is just 1 blue mana for an instant. Scry 1, draw a card. So this is easily the most hyped card of the day. Reprint or not, just so much hype for Opt coming back. The last time we saw this was, I think, Invasion. It was like 14, 15 years ago, like 2001. It's been a really, really long time. And Opt is now in Modern, not just Standard, so that's really awesome. The debate rages today over whether or not this is better than Serum Visions in Modern. Visions digs deeper, but this is instant speed, so it's kind of... And scrying before you draw is really awesome, too. So, you know, that's a good debate. Really, they serve different functions, you know. Like Serum Visions is a good card for combo and stuff just because it digs so deep. This is a better card for control decks and decks that want more to play at instant speed. Although I will say that in like Delver lists and stuff, if Delver again becomes a thing, then something like this could see play alongside Serum Visions and Thought Scour. It's entirely possible. You just play all the 1 blue mana cantrip things. And I think this is a step in the right direction regarding cantrips, by the way. A lot of... There's been some talk, some rumblings over the last few years over at WotC that cantrips are just a little too powerful. You know, just 1 mana, draw a card, do something else. But I like that they're dipping their toe in the water here. Let's see how this works in Standard. Is it going to be too crazy? And I don't think it'll take the format over, but I do think it'll be a very important piece in Standard. Whether you're playing Control, you know, I've heard arguments that things like Hieroglyphic Illumination and Censor are better than this. I think you'll play this alongside Censor. I do think that it's better straight up than Hieroglyphics, though. Also, any combo decks in Standard are going to use this. Red-Blue Spells is going to use this, the Red-Blue Riddle form deck, with a couple of things. You know, Bloodwater Entity, I think, is in that deck, too. So, or the Enigma Drake. Decks like that are going to love having this card. So, I'm a fan. You know, I'm building a Blue-Red Improvised deck right now that really, really wants this card. I was super excited about it as soon as I saw it. So I think there are a lot of decks that might want Opt right now. This is, I think, the most impactful reprint of the day, and definitely worth the hype, not just because of Standard, but because Modern's trying to wrap their head around it too. Just really love that Opt is back. Alright, so we can calm down a little bit and talk about some brand new cards here. There is some hype here, especially in the last card we'll talk about, but I'll start with probably the least hypeful card of the day here. This is Stormfleet Arsonist. It's 5 mana, 4 and a red for a 4/4 Orc Pirate, and it has Raid. When it enters the battlefield, if you attack with a creature this turn, target opponent sacks a permanent. So I kind of wish that said non-land permanent. I think that'd be a little better. Although, a lot of times this will translate to a land, which might be kind of good, especially in a format where people are looking to play like 5, 6, 7 mana things in some decks. This might be okay, but no Standard play. I mean, at the end of the day, absolutely, I would say none. But in Limited, this kind of looks like a house, you know, just definite removal. It'll probably be a land a lot of the time, but in Sealed and stuff, that's pretty good, honestly. Getting rid of a land on curve is not bad at all in most cases. So, especially again in the Seal where we're definitely going to be looking to play 5, 6, 7 mana options. So, this doesn't look too bad, and if you can snag a creature or something with it, then it's done really good work for you. 5 mana, 4/4 body's okay in Limited too, so it's probably worth a look in that format, especially if you're drafting up an aggressive deck. Pretty good at the top of the curve, I'd say, depending on what other options you get, but in Standard, nah. Here's another member of the Stormfleet squad. This is Stormfleet Aerialist. It's 2 mana, that's 1 and a blue for a 1/2 human pirate with flying. It too has Raid. Stormfleet Aerialist enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it if you attacked with a creature this turn. Okay, so I'm pretty sure this might be super hot. It's a pretty sexy card at first glance, you know? I'm not really sure, again, that it ends up making it into the Pirates deck because that deck already has so many really, really attractive 2-drops, so I'm not sure this ends up making the list, but a 2 mana, 2/3 flyer seems pretty good. Seems pretty really good, you know? This also would be another target for like Skyship Plunderer to put an extra counter onto, so that's at least a consideration, you know? I like the idea behind the card. A 2 mana, 2/3 flyer is great, but you have to play all of the 1-drops. You know, at this point, you have to play 4 Storm Tamer, you have to play 4 Deadeye in that deck, and if there are any more Pirate 1-drops, then you're forced to play those. And you might, if there aren't any, actually want to play another 1-drop that's not even a Pirate, just to make sure that you can get the raid off on turn 2 here. Aside from that, like every turn that you go away from turn 2, like you get this on turn 4 or whatever, it's not quite as impactful, but I mean 2 mana is a great rate for a 2/3 flyer. I think that's hard to deny, so this might see some play, but again, it all depends on once we actually sit down and look at our 2-drop pirates, what makes the cut, what doesn't, because it's not like we're going to play 24 2-drop pirates in that deck. Here's my pick for favorite name of the day. This is Twilight Skywalker. It actually is called that. It's just 1 white mana for a 1/1 vampire cleric with flying. You can pay a white and tap it to have target attacking vampire you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. Actually, I'm pretty sure it doesn't say you control. It might just be an attacking vampire. So if you want to boost their guy, go for it. But still, Twilight Skywalker. It's a vampire, so Twilight. Also, Star Wars reference. Like, all the references in the name of this card. But I don't think it's great. Obviously, it's not the best card ever. But there are some good things about it. 1 drop for the vampire deck. We'll take that probably. Unless we see better stuff, we'll take this as a 1 drop in the vampire deck. And it can transfer its power over to a vampire that actually gets to attack in the later game. So it's relevant as a, decent little mana sinky dude that, like, you never lose the power from. I think it's cool. Even if he can't attack profitably, he can still lend his power to another guy. So that's not terrible. And as far as the blue-white Flyers deck I was talking about earlier, just this and the piece I just showed you, Aerialist, are also good choices in that deck, First turn this, second turn Aerialist, that's not bad, especially you can throw down an enchantment that gives them all +1/+1 next turn. So I think that blue-white Flyers is shaping up to look pretty kind of fun and sweet. So we'll see how things work out, but all in all, I'm not sure of the power level of this card. If Tribal Vampires has enough support to really be a thing in the next standard, maybe we'll have to wait on Rivals of Ixalan. I worry about that with a lot of tribal support in this set. Do we have to wait until Rivals or not? With Vampires, from what we've seen so far, it looks like we might have to more than any other tribe. Also Merfolk. But we'll see. If we have enough support in just Ixalan to make Vampires, this might be the 1 drop we're looking for. But definitely not the droid we're looking for. Stupidest joke ever. That was that means nothing in context whatsoever. So sorry, I just couldn't avoid. I thought of it on the fly and I just had to do it. I apologize. But here's my pick for very possibly best card of the day. I mean, Opt is going to be great and all, but this thing looks like a freaking beast. Here's Regisaur Alpha right here. It's 5 mana, 3, a red and a green for a 4/4 dinosaur that gives other dinosaurs you control haste and creates a 3/3 green dinosaur creature token with trample when it enters the battlefield. Holy God. Okay, so in case you're not aware on first reading this card, 5 mana is a ridiculous rate for this. That's incredible. 7 power split on 2 guys, which is almost always better. One of those guys has haste and trample, and the 4/4 gives all the rest of your dinosaurs haste. That's Come on. And imagine curving one into the other. You get some ramp. Turn 4, you play this. That's already ridiculous enough. And then turn 5, you play another one. The 4/4 that you play has haste, and you create another 3/3 haste trample. Curving one to the other seems so ridiculous to me. There are some issues resolving deck building, though. I'd say Ignited Dinosaurs is the deck that I've been devoting the most energy to figuring out so far during spoiler season, and this throws a wrench into the works just a little bit. I was already playing Watley in the deck. I was already playing Hour of Promise, and we can't afford to play 10 or 12 5-drops in that deck. So Watley's getting moved to the sideboard. Still going to try and play Hour of Promise, but you got to play 3 or 4 of these too. It's just almost certainly the best dinosaur spoiled so far. This thing is ridiculous. 5 mana is a steal for all of this. You can go, 2-drop Ramper, 3-drop Ripjaw Raptor into this on turn 4. That's just unfreaking believable. So, the Dinosaurs deck is looking pretty fierce right now. This is almost certainly the best card spoiled today, at least in my eyes. Then again, what do I know? Cards like Opt tend to get, banned. Right? So, in Modern at least. So I'm not, who knows, it might be Opt, but still, just in terms of sheer power level, this thing's crazy. So, whew, I have to calm down. I've had all day to look at the card, and I'm still just overwhelmed by what I see here. This is Huntmaster of the Fells. It kind of feels Thragtuskian. There's a couple of other cards you could compare this to. But at the end of the day, I think it might be better. Huntmaster is probably a better card, all things considered, than this, but I don't know. I mean, look at the body. Look at the body that you get. Look at the ability that you get on every other dinosaur that you play for the rest of the game. This thing is just unbelievable, and the 4/4 body is above most removal. You can't fatal push the guy. It's just this thing is awesome, guys. But that's all the spoilers I got for you today, at least for now. There's going to be more spoilers over the next week or so. pretty much every day, if I'm to understand correctly. So make sure you sub if you're new. Hit the notification bell to make sure you get all the new videos in your inbox, because you're not going to want to miss spoilers. Just brand new cards are super exciting, so make sure you do that. Like the video if you enjoyed the video. Follow me on Twitter at SBMTGDev, or you can throw us a buck if you want to on Patreon at patreon.com/SBMTG. It would help out a lot. But for now, I gotta get out of here. I'm Dev from The Place. Thanks for watching, my wizards. This video is brought to you in part by my sponsor, TCGplayer.com, and they already have pre-order pricing on a lot of the singles that we've seen so far this preview season, and I think there's a lot of stuff that's being overlooked so far, man. Like Captain Lannery's Storm, sure, looks pretty good in Pirate Tribal, but just also generally looks good as a card, you know? A 3-mana 2/2 body with haste that also fixes your mana and ramps you, and can ramp you more than once. Like, what's not to like about Captain, man? And she's only like $1.50 right now and is getting very little hype, so you might want to go ahead and pick up your copies, because I think she actually looks kind of important. Same thing with Settle the Wreckage. This card isn't getting any hype, and I think it could be important as a 4-mana instant speed sweeper in the next standard. So go ahead and pick up your copies of those if you haven't got them yet. They're only about $2.50 on TCG Player, and they look like one of the better sweeper options in Ixalan Standard. So try those out, and remember, again, they've got pre-order pricing on pretty much anything we've already seen. So I'll leave a link in the description for you, and you can check them out. But for now, I guess I got some editing to do, so I'm out the door. But I'll catch you cats later. I'm Dev from The Place. Thanks for watching, my wizards. And yeah, I'll say it twice, because I mean it.